Hello, film fans. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. My name is Martin Harries, your host, and I'm joined by the film encyclopedia man, Boaz Dix. We are a couple of filmmakers on occasion, but mainly can't stop yapping about movies. On this podcast, every episode we pick a topic from a film that's coming out at the cinema or on VOD. Myself and Boaz pick our favourite film from that topic, and we battle it out to decide which film will become the greatest film of all time, according to two film geeks from Wiltshire, England. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a review and subscribe. Hello, podsters. This week, as Freaky is coming out in UK cinemas, not this week, but actually next week, because they keep bloody moving the release schedule, but there we go. We are doing slasher films, as Freaky is kind of like a cool body swap slasher film. We're going to have a look at slasher films. And as always, I am joined by the Mr. Encyclopedia man, that is Mr. Boaz Dix. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, Mr. Martin.
Sporting a tash, I must add, as well today.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing.
So just imagine a tash in your head as well.
Imagine the biggest tash you've ever seen, and it like curls at the end.
Yeah. Kenneth Branagh, Hercule Poirot style.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm going to be a French detective after this.
Aye.
Belgian, sorry.
So, what is your pick, Mr. Encyclopedia Man?
My pick is Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which is part of the Nightmare on Elm Street series.
Like the 7th film in this franchise.
Yeah, holy shit, man.
So why did you pick this one?
I was watching like this guy do like an omnibus review thing and making of like the Nightmare on Elm Street films.
Yeah.
He talked about this one a bit, and I thought the idea sounded really cool. Personally, I've only watched like the first one.
Yeah, I've only seen the first one. Well. Dream Warriors, the third one's supposed to be quite good.
Yeah, never watched any of those. Just generally, when he was talking about all of them, I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds like a kind of average sequel. Sounds like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then he talked about this one, and I was like, that is really, the idea is just so meta. It's like, holy crap.
Yeah.
I've never really come across a film script that's done that, just been so self-aware. So, I thought, hell, I'll watch it myself, see what I think of it.
Cool. So what happens in Wes Craven's New Nightmare?
All right, so it's done from the perspective of the girl that plays Nancy, so, in real life, Heather
Lindenkamp.
So it's done from her perspective in the real world in California or something. She has a son and a husband. She's still in the public eye from, the fame from the Nightmare on Elm Street films. But she is actually getting real nightmares of Freddy Krueger, and her family is really being haunted by Freddy Krueger. Yeah, and it's just, her to try and work out what the hell's going on and, save her son from death and herself and stuff.
So what did you make of this film then? Just initial reaction.
Initial reaction, I think there was a lot of really creative choices, like in camera work and in set design and just all that and costuming. It looks really cool. I think after a while, it kind of did grate on me, like too much. It was like, this is a lot. Do you know what I mean? It felt too much. I think the initial the concept is very good. The directing is good, but I feel it does a lot. There's a lot of scares and there's a lot of things and there's a lot of suspense and some really great effects. I just feel like it just went on. Well, yeah, there are some. Okay, I will say that. Yeah, there are some really. The highway scene is really bad. Yeah. Especially the scene prior to it was amazing with like practical effects.
Yeah.
I think where it kind of shines are in its practical effects, and that's like almost 90% of it. But I will agree that when it starts to do CGI and the highway stuff and he's in the clouds, that looked horrible.
Yeah.
That looked really, really bad. I think it was a case of...
It's the 90s, basically.
Yeah, he did, it's the 90s. But also, he could get rid of that scene. And there are so many scenes, actually, when I was watching that, I'm like, man, you could get rid of that scene.
Yeah.
You get rid of that scene. It's like, yeah, that's a cool thing, but you've already sort of done that before. You could get rid of that scene. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
It felt a bit much. I reckon you could shave a lot off of this film. I think it would be more enjoyable.
It's not long. It's about, I don't know, an hour and 45 or something.
Yeah, no, that's true. And while I was watching that, I was completely aware of the time, but it just felt longer than that, you know. I feel maybe what made it feel longer is at a point it feels like this is close to the finale, and then it just keeps going. And I think any film that sort of does that, where it kind of sets up a finale at like the halfway, it doesn't even matter how long it is, any story. You set up a finale, even if it's the halfway mark, your mind kind of goes, oh yeah, it starts to wind it down. It's like, oh yeah, this is finishing. And I think when they're in the hospital, I was just thinking, yeah, I think this film is finishing, right? Yeah. And then it just kept going. And
going.
Yeah, and going. I'm like, holy shit. So I would say that's my major criticism of it.
I think I had a major problem with this film, I must say. I liked it as a Nightmare on Elm Street film, but the concept just didn't work, I don't think. It's a mess, basically. And I think the whole point that they were trying to go with the fact that this is set in, like, the real world, and you literally get the sense that you're in the real world and that these guys are actors and they were just making films that illusion lasts for like 10 minutes. And then after that, the illusion is broken and you're just basically watching a regular Nightmare on Elm Street movie from then on, which is a real shame. Yeah, let's get straight into it with directing then. And I feel like there was a major problem with like the directing of the acting in this film for me. Like, I feel like with Heather Langenkamp's performance, she seems fairly unnerved, like, very often that something's not right about what's going on. And I feel like at a time she's basically playing Nancy from the word go and being more like, you know, herself. And there's not enough scenes where we see Heather just being Heather in her daily life. And I feel like I'm watching a movie right from the off. And I feel like the point of the film is that these people are normal people and just actors from a horror franchise. And there's a lot of like dramatic score in there, which doesn't help. And I was hoping it would feel like more of a documentary style kind of thing. But it just feels like another slasher film, really, in the end. And the film is too over dramatic too early.
Yeah, I can sort of see that. Yeah, I suppose, you know, it doesn't seem very believable. It does seem like a movie. So, yeah, I get that.
I mean, I like the sequence where Chase Porter, played by David Newson, is driving home and the Kruger hand comes through like the seat and scratches his groin and then kills him with lots of blood, which is quite cool. And the sharp cut between the car crash and Heather waking up with a subtle push-in was quite effective. That kind of worked. But the dolly zoom afterwards, where Heather sees the cops in the doorway realizing her dream was real, that Chase died, didn't really work for me because the illusion of the film had been broken ages ago anyway, with the fact that when you have that opening sequence with the hand, like the actor chopping his hand off, and, you know, the mechanical hand kills a load of the crew, and then she wakes up from the earthquake, her boyfriend like cut his hand, you know, it's just like, well, the illusion's gone already. You know. And the dolly zoom in that moment, seeing the cops, it's just like, well, this isn't doing anything for me here.
I did really like at least seeing a dolly zoom. I haven't seen one in a film in quite some time. It's a really awesome technique that I don't think is utilised that much. So,
but they're usually used in such like ridiculously dramatic moment of real shock, and I'm not sure you needed that, to be honest.
So if I'm talking about just like the technical direction, I kind of, you know, I like it, with the exception of much later when they start to introduce like some more CGI. I do like the set design. I like when she goes down the bed towards the end. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, where it's like, you know, the covers, and she's sliding down infinite covers and it turns into, you know, a sewer.
Yeah, well, like a demonic evil place.
Evil place, yeah. And then just she shoots out of a like giant face of Freddy.
Yeah, I really like that. That's my favourite
really
sequence. My favourite shot, actually, that slide. That was nice.
Yeah.
And there's a nice old-fashioned like matte painting as she falls into the pool of water with a waterfall. It looked dated, but I kind of dig that stuff. It looked quite cool. I appreciated that.
I'm trying to think of like other cool scenes. Like the one that really stuck into my head when it comes to like a kill scene was her friend is getting killed.
Julie,
Julie. And I really like that. I thought that was cool. Going from what the kid can see because he's already sort of sleepy, and so he can see Freddy, but nobody else can. Yeah. And I love that of she's being attacked, and you have
the switching of perspectives.
The switching of perspective. I thought that was really good, and that he literally drags her across the wall and onto the ceiling.
Yeah,
and you just also see her just like. That was an amazing practical.
Yeah, I love that.
That was great.
Classic, like Nightmare on Elm Street, switching of perspectives. There. And and when the nurse comes in, like she's just suspended in midair, like in his claws, but you can't see it. Obviously, there's a great line. Dylan, did you ever play Skin the Cat? And he goes around the ceiling. That was great. That bit. And then the satisfying like elbow punch was quite funny when the nurse tries to come in and Heather elbows her. I just want to go back to like the Chase Porter death because later on in the film, like the narrative never makes it clear that Heather didn't believe that Chase died because later near the end she says to John Saxton, Chase really did die, and I was like, yeah, we know. I thought you did too. And because she goes to the hospital and sees the body with the claw marks, and therefore the dream she had was real. What more evidence do you need that Freddy Krueger is actually real? And also I think that scene was in the wrong place. It just happened too early in the film for me, because then she's trying to figure out what's going on, but it just seems kind of obvious that the illusion is broken already, and Freddy Krueger is real. And I was just like, it was a bit muddled there.
I kind of agree with that. Like, it does take her a long time to have that eureka moment where you think, really?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
I just think there was an issue with the narrative.
Like he's literally got to come out of the cupboard before she goes, oh, okay. So it's not like claws coming out of your bed sheets, your kid speaking in Freddy's voice. Literally all of that shit, getting phone calls from him. None of that rings any bells unless, he literally comes out of the cupboard. That was a bit silly. I think, though, we're kind of veering away from any sort of technical aspect. And really, even in this directing segment, we're focusing on the script.
Yeah, a little bit. But I just think in a visual way, I don't think it works. It's not clear enough for me,
It does seem like she should know, like that she does know, and then it kind of just, it doesn't make sense later.
It just doesn't translate well enough to the audience about... There's not enough like doubt in that moment, in that period in the film that's so early on with that death, because it's all cut together to assume that, Heather believes that Freddy Krueger is alive and real, and that killed Chase Porter. Whereas I think if you made that a bit more ambiguous and cut it a little bit differently and didn't make it as clear, then it might have worked a bit better. So I think it was just cut wrong, maybe, for me.
Yeah, or like not make her actually see that things are going wrong. Like she sees like very clearly, and even from her perspective, you're like, I'd work this out fairly easily. She's looking at what I'm looking at. She should know.
But there are a few effective moments when Freddy Krueger jumps out of the black closet saying "Miss me." That did make me jump, and that was quite relatively effective. But then the little fight, not so much. The way he dives onto the bed, it's like he's, the start of a kid's sleepover. I was just like, oh, okay, that's a bit weird.
I like the visuals of his claws coming out of the bed sheets.
That was great.
And coming towards it. It just reminded me of Jaws, like, the Jaws, the fin, and just come right to her face. And it was almost touching her, and then she wakes up, and then you see all these knives like fall onto the ground and shit. I quite like that, and she's, she wakes up. Well, she doesn't wake up; it's like a false wake up. Man.
I like how the filmmakers can be so creative with Freddy Krueger. Like near the end, where his hand like stretches out to Dylan in like the furnace thing, and his head is like growing like massively to try and swallow him whole. That was a good practical effect. And the way his tongue like wraps around Heather, making Krueger like feel disgusting as well as scary. I like that. That was good.
Yeah, I think definitely like the prop department and the practical effects in this are really good, you know. But yeah, I mean, we've already slightly touched on it, but yeah, the weakest like effect in comparison has got to be when I can't believe I was even watching that. That was just weird. When he runs on the freeway and there's just a really badly CGI'd cloud that turns into a really
he's trying to like pick up Dylan with one of his claws, his giant claw in the highway. But what I did like in that scene, like the actual traffic going by, that, you know, and the fact that the lorry just goes over her sideways, you know, between the wheels, that was quite effective. But then when Freddy Krueger shows up, it's like, oh dear, that's not great.
It doesn't look right at all. No, you know, I think the film would have been better for it had that been cut out. You know.
Have you got a favourite shot then, or sequence? Favourite death?
Favourite death is, you know, her friend Julie. Yeah. That's definitely got to be my favourite.
Right. Score then for me. I think if you're just watching this as a Freddy Krueger film, like a Nightmare on Elm Street film, and you're not really, you know, trying to concentrate on too much on what the fuck is going on, then you'll have a good time. I just feel like my major issue, certainly with the directing, is actually the directing of the acting, certainly of Heather's character, because for me there's just no difference between Heather and Nancy. They're like the same person to me. So that was a major problem, and part of the why the whole concept of this film doesn't actually work for me. So
I would say the acting in general isn't like very good. But I would expand on that more on acting, but you're right, you know, it bleeds over into directing, and it's kind of noticeable. Even with the kid, when the kid's meant to say something that's like meant to be scary or whatever, I don't know, I just felt like, was that the first take or something?
I quite liked the kid, actually. I thought he was the best person, one of the best actors.
Yeah, I think he was the best, honest. Yeah.
But
yeah, I think, but still, I don't know, I just don't think it was like as good as it could have been. You know?
But I mean, for the actual Freddy Krueger action in it, I'll give it a 7. How about you, sir?
Yeah, I think 7 is quite sensible. Yeah, I'll give it a 7 as well, actually.
Okay. 7.0.
Yeah. 0.00001.
All right. Screenplay then. I like the opening scene where Freddy Krueger is building himself like a robot hand with the iconic knives for fingers, and he chops his hand off, and then literally like cut to the film crew to immediately establish that this film is like very different, and then very quickly the hand has a life of its own and kills a load of the crew. Yeah, and I was kind of like, well, they've revealed the twist quite early in this film, early on this movie, very quickly, and then you realise it was all a dream, and she wakes up from an earthquake. But of course it becomes a regular Nightmare on Elm Street film, you know, very quickly soon after that. But I mean, I liked that opening bit. You know, I thought we were going to get kind of like more of that type of thing, but they kind of do away with that quite quickly.
I think it's kind of funny that Robert Englund is kind of his character. You know, he obviously plays two characters. He plays Robert Englund and Freddy Krueger. He's such a nice guy, you know, that everybody has great things to say about him as Robert Englund. One of the things I quite like in the script is just any time they sort of remember the, I don't know, the kind of meta nature of it. I love the introduction of like the script, not necessarily the scene where he introduces the fact that it's scripted, but just the idea that they can read parts of the script.
Yeah.
That was pretty crazy. Or where she picks up the script, you know, when she's in his lair. I just quite like that.
I was just like, what the fuck is going on? I'm confused. When she was doing that.
I thought it was pretty cool.
You know, because near the end, in the evil place, Heather picks up a script and reads, "There was no movie. There was only her life." You know, basically confirming that Freddy Krueger is a real demon. But I was left confused where at the very end, Heather is reading the script and you can see what she's about to say. And it's like, is Wes Craven the real demon in this? Writing her every move like he's torturing her. I don't know what the fuck's going on. And there's a moment where it's suggested where there's like 2 Freddy Kruegers, you know, before she goes into the dungeon place. I don't know, but then kind of like nothing comes of that. I don't know whether it was just cut weird for me. I don't know. Did you notice that?
No, didn't notice that. I don't remember two Freddy Kruegers. Yeah.
All right, mate, just me then. Because were we going to get like the fictional one and then like the real one from like the painting that you see earlier on? But yeah, nothing really comes of that. And then there's kind of like a weird sequence where Heather suddenly changes clothes to Nancy's pajamas, like it's a film within a film within a film, and. In the film itself is evil, the script, it's very muddled. I'm just like, please simplify, please.
Yeah.
Well,
what was it? He tries to sort of explain it when she actually goes to see Wes Craven. And he says, it sounds pretty weird. It was like, there's this entity that he kind of accidentally bound it in a movie.
Yeah. When the story dies, the evil is set free.
And then he just started writing this film, and it's been like dictating the thing's actions, but it is trying to break through. It's kind of a very strange sort of concept.
He explains that when like Heather goes to meet Wes Craven, and he says, "When the story dies, the evil is set free." And Heather says, "Well, is Freddy this ancient thing?" And Wes replies saying, "Right, the current version." And for 10 years he's been held captive pretty much as Freddy in the Nightmare on Elm Street series, but now that the films have ended, the genie's out of the bottle, Heather. That's what the nightmares are telling me. That's what I'm writing, and I'm like, I liked the film at that point. I was like, oh, this sounds really interesting. But then, as I said, it just gets more confusing after that. It just... muddled as fuck, to be honest.
Okay. Do you wish they didn't kind of address it that much, so it just doesn't muddy the narrative or something?
Yeah. I think one of my favourite scenes actually is when Heather is on the phone to Robert Englund and he's painting a portrait, and she's talking about the fact that she's been having Freddy Krueger nightmares, maybe because of this stalker. Wes Craven is still finishing the script, and Robert Englund references old Dylan reaching for God, and in the previous scene Dylan tried to do that in the playground by climbing right up to the top on the rocket, and he falls. And you're like, how does he know that? And then a brilliant unnerving performance from Englund slowly revealing the Freddy Krueger painting that looks a lot darker and scarier than before, and we get a sense that more people are being affected by like the real Freddy Krueger. And I just think it's a real shame we didn't get a different Freddy Krueger design in the end of the film like that painting, because I thought that painting was great. I was like, wow, that's really creepy.
Yeah, that was kind of like a thing that didn't really pay off. That just seemed like a stylized painting that he was doing. It wasn't really different from any of the short appearances he had already had prior into the film. I did quite like the towards the end, her friend who played her father in the series. I don't know, I just quite like that.
John Saxon.
Yeah, where he's like quoting bits from the first movie, and she's like, what the hell are you talking about? And then she kind of accepts it, and then, when he turns into a policeman, it turns into Elm Street, and she turns into Nancy. I quite like that. I thought that was pretty cool.
That just made me more confused, to be honest. I was just like, what the fuck is going on? But yeah, I would have liked the film more if, we actually saw a version from that painting of Freddy Krueger. I thought that would have been great, but still have like the quirky, tongue stuff and giant head, but just a slightly different design. I thought that would have been, because you kind of do get like a CG like demon figure when he's burnt at the end.
Oh yeah, as he's melting. Yeah, he looks like a demon, and then just dies. Yeah, that would have been an interesting, I don't know, like wardrobe change towards the end if chased them like that. That would have been pretty cool. Or at least, something different.
But there is a unintentionally funny bit when one of the nurses is trying to put Dylan to sleep, and Julie like punches one of the nurses, and the other one says, "You can't do that." Like, no, of course you can't. You can't hit people. But yeah, that was funny. Have you got a favourite line then?
I think the only one that kind of sticks into my head is where she's talking about like her husband being dead or whatever to the kid.
Yeah.
It's like, he's with God now. It's like, do you have to die to see God? And he's like, what the hell does she say? It's like, no, I think you can just pray and reach out or something.
Oh, right,
I just quite like that. Yeah.
And then he tries to do it literally.
He tries to do it literally.
So score for screenplay for me, I admire the concept that Wes Craven was going for, because I think Wes Craven, I think I read him say that A New Nightmare was very much an experiment for Scream that he did later. This very like self-referential style of horror film. It's very much an experiment for Scream. So certainly an experiment that doesn't work. Which Scream is like amazing. I really like Scream a lot, and works brilliantly. So I think I'll go with like 6.6 for screenplay.
I kind of see what you mean. Like, I think it does. I actually will have to hand it to you. I think like halfway point, it does get a little bit too confusing and a little bit too. If it's just that this was a real Freddy Krueger attack in the real world, and just leave it at that would have been fine. Also, like the main plot is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of been done, I suppose. This woman who nobody will believe her, and she wants to save her child and what have you. Yeah, I think maybe like a 6.4.
It's a real shame because I really wanted to like this film a lot more, and I think a film like this can work. It really can.
And also, I do want to put my other criticism, because I think this applies more to the script than to the direction. But what I said before when you said, how do I like this film? And I just feel it kind of drags. And I do think that is a definite problem with the screenplay, where it just does feel like, holy shit, is this still going on? And he crams, I think, a bit too much, too many ideas. It's too much, I think, visual stuff and too many ideas, as in like conceptual ideas. Yeah, that it is a bit much for one film. It does just feel like really crammed. Yeah, and it doesn't make for like the easiest experience. I don't think I would watch it a second time. No, in a while, I might watch some of the scenes again, like towards the end.
Give it 10 years.
I'll give it, I would say that prior criticism really does apply to the screenplay. It's far too much crammed into a movie.
Yeah, I totally agree. Right, acting then. I've only really got one note for acting, because obviously for me the acting was kind of linked to the directing earlier on, with Heather Langenkamp's performance really was critical, I think, with how the film went. So it was just a real shame there.
Did you also feel like you didn't kind of really buy her performance?
Yeah, I would say so. Well, that's my whole thing, is that there's no difference between Nancy and Heather. There's I just felt she was in a movie from the word go. She was in a Nightmare on Elm Street movie from the word go. There was no real world here. It just wasn't convincing enough. I mean, you had like all the, Wes Craven, you had, Robert Englund as himself, and they even go to like the New Line offices, which actually made the Nightmare on Elm Street films. That was just not enough, But yeah, I actually really liked Dylan, Heather's son, played by Miko Hughes, where he's all creepy with her talking about Freddy, saying 1, 2. Freddy's coming for you. Trying to get up into our world. A performance like that from a kid would still work in a film like this, because it would be more committed to realism, because you would think that, he's just being a kid messing around. But, Dylan trying to kill his mum with the knives taped to his fingers, I quite like that bit. That was a cool scene there. But yeah, you could still have him like doing all that weird stuff, and just like Heather just saying it's just, Dylan messing around. But it was just like she was just really freaked out by that immediately.
I don't think like there's enough sort of nuance to her performance, Like it's, I don't know, it's very much like, okay, you're meant to be concerned, and it's like concerned face. Do you know what I mean? Concerned face throughout. Or you're meant to scream, screamy throughout, or whatever. I don't know. There's not much nuance. There's not much like just facial acting or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Just like you can see her, and you can just tell without it having to be like said or just overdone.
I did really like Robert Englund, to be honest. Obviously, as Freddy Krueger, he's amazing. He's fantastic as the character. There's no one else that can play him. Really,
I do like. I like how I wish there was more Robert Englund in this film, because I do like how just differently he plays him. He's quite laid back, and he's I don't know. You know that kind of in parentheses, he's a nice guy. He does act like a nice guy. He's like an uncle.
Because that's why, like, that scene with the portrait as he comes round, he does feel like freaked out, unnerved by it. And I kind of wanted more Robert Englund. That scene was really great.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of refreshing. Him playing I would say playing a different character. But, he's playing himself. Yeah, I think it would have been cooler if he was in it more. Actually, do you know what I think would have made a better movie?
Yeah.
If Robert Englund was the good guy as well as being haunted by Freddy Krueger. I think he kind of would have sold it a lot.
As the main character,
Yeah, I think he probably would have sold it a lot better than Heather did. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to shit on anybody, but yeah.
You can do if you want.
Okay. Yeah, it's a secret perversion of mine. But yeah, I think even in the brief scenes he's in, he is just, just as Robert Englund, he is just I don't know, more believable than she is.
So I'm guessing Robert Englund's your favourite performance?
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
Both Robert Englunds.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I quite like the black nurse as well. I don't know.
Yeah, she was good.
I really liked her. And, I think it came across really well. Even beyond script, of just, you can tell she thinks this bitch is crazy. She doesn't... she doesn't really get all of this. I don't know. I just quite like that. Also, again, it feels like now I'm just...
Wish you picked something else.
Yeah. Well, I'm not really a big slasher movie person. So, I could have picked something else, I suppose,
Yeah, I mean, I like the odd slasher film. There's a great one that's kind of similar to Freaky, actually. The Final Girls, where these bunch of teenagers are watching a slasher film in a cinema and they all get sucked into the movie, and they have to play out the movie in the movie, Which could have worked a lot better in this kind of film, but that concept of them being actually sucked into the screen. But my score for acting, probably 6.8.
Oh, okay.
Robert Englund's great. They're all fine, but it's just Heather's performance was obviously partly not her fault because she's told to play it like that, but just, yeah.
I think that there was something lacking in her performance, and and because she's the focus, I don't know, it just kind of does culminate a bit much, you're like... Yeah. She's not as fun to watch as many other actors or actresses. Yeah, I don't know. If she was in it less... I don't know. Also, I don't know, this is just me. I'm being a bit weird here. Did it kind of annoy you? She shows so much teeth. Who does that?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I just everything she's in, she shows so much teeth.
All right.
Yeah? I don't know. It's just kind of annoying me.
Okay.
Is that just me?
Just you, I think. Just you.
It's just me. Okay. Yeah.
So what's your score for acting?
I reckon I'll give it a 6.5 or something.
Right, let's add up the scores then for Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Wes Craven's New Nightmare gets 40.3. Ouch. I must stress that, the first movie is amazing. Just not this one, unfortunately.
I meant to pick the first one, yeah. Yeah, we have to redo this episode. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Right, my pick then is Halloween. Not the Rob Zombie one, not the recent 2018 one, but the original John Carpenter 1978 movie with a very young Jamie Lee Curtis at 19. Yes, Halloween.
Yeah.
Why did I pick this one? Well, mainly because I didn't have a lot of time this week, so I was like, what's a really short slasher film? So, Halloween will do.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, again, I watched this film way too young, at 12 or something. Scared the absolute shit out of me on VHS tape, my dad's VHS. And it was kind of more effective anyway, because it was quite grainy. And it kind of just made it, more scarier. I was a lot more scared the fact that, it had this grain to it, just it made it a little bit more effective.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. Oh, the scene when, he comes back up and breaks down the closet. Oh, it was just... So it was really interesting. I haven't seen it for a long time, to know whether this still had its... the same impact it did when I was quite small. Not so much, but there are some, fairly scary elements in there still. So this film is about, well, we start off of this very, the classic POV shot which you get 100 times in slasher films. We follow this child around his house, and he ends up killing his sister repeatedly. Pulls the mask off, and it's just a kid of this clown costume.
How can you kill someone repeatedly?
Well, stab someone repeatedly. Well, he always has to make sure they're dead, don't you?
Yeah.
Certainly him himself.
Yeah. He probably is immortal or something.
Yeah, we get introduced to Laurie Strode, who's a teenager at school. She's a babysitter as well. And meanwhile, we meet Dr. Loomis, Donald Pleasance's character, who is taking a colleague to the mental institution, and we find out that there's been a lot of them have broken out, and Michael Myers nicks a car and then goes back to Haddonfield to basically kill a load of teenagers. So yeah, very, very simple script, very simple story, but incredibly effective. What did you make of this film, Mr. Encyclopedia Man? Was it scary for you?
No.
Or was... Okay.
Yeah, this is the thing. I think I'm going to be very controversial with this one.
All right.
I never watched this when I was younger. I'm aware of Michael Myers and the Halloween series. I think when it comes to the big slasher villains, there's a holy trinity of, everybody's heard of Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, and Michael Myers. That's the big three.
Well, yeah, Halloween, Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, whenever somebody says, a slasher film, I just, immediately think of these three. But I haven't watched many of them. Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, my opinion of this, I think I put it at too high a pedestal of what I thought it was going to be. And it didn't really meet that. But, Michael Myers himself is pretty interesting. There's a lot of suspense through the film. My main problem with this is it's an hour and a half film, and it takes 15 minutes before somebody fucking dies. It's and I know that because I was looking at the time. I was like, when the hell is he going to kill someone? This is insane. So I can 100% appreciate that. This was probably done on a budget or something, but that kind of pissed me off.
All right, harsh.
Yeah, I'm gonna be quite harsh. I said I'm gonna be very controversial, but
okay.
I was like, holy crap,
Well, I quite like the fact that I'll get into it, but the fact that it takes a while for him to kill someone, but you still have the presence of Michael Myers throughout the whole film.
Yeah.
And you are left wondering when is he going to kill someone, but you're still on the edge of your seat of when is he going to do it,
Yeah.
Right, let's get straight into directing then.
I was on the edge of my seat for until the fourth time.
Okay.
He jumps up. I'm like, come on, just kill someone, please. So...
I mean, that's the thing. I would recommend this film to children, basically.
Yeah. Recommend it to a child. 100%. I get that.
Today.
100%. I would get that. Yeah. Your kid's pretty young, 12 or something, and you're like,
oh, well, yeah, well, I'm not sure about 12. Don't be an idiot like me.
No, but if you really want to scare them,
maybe 14, 15, maybe.
Yeah.
This is an 18, but an 18 from 1978.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's an okay introduction to a character, but I don't know. I think whatever budget it was made of does hurt it, But,
have you seen any of the other Halloween films?
No, I've not really seen them.
Oh, really?
So it's something I need to sort of do. I have seen The Thing though, which is they watched some of The Thing on this. That's also John Carpenter. That film is fucking amazing.
Yeah. It's not his film. The film they watch is The Thing from Another World, the original.
Oh, okay.
From the 50s.
Oh, okay. No, I've not watched that one. But his version of The Thing was amazing. Did he make that after this?
Yeah, he made The Thing after Halloween.
Oh, okay.
So it wouldn't be possible.
Yeah. Yeah. No, because I was going to think, his thing was just, it's just so incredible, the effects and stuff. And then I was like, yeah, dude, the effects in this aren't that great. Do you know what I mean? There's not, much going on. And so I guess it would make sense. He made his money from the Halloween series, and then maybe that's also what kind of fucked me up watching this film. I should try and analyze it in context, but I was thinking, holy shit, if this is the guy that directed The Thing, oh man, I'm going to be in for some crazy body horror and some... But then it's like, no, that's not what this is at all.
Let's get straight into it then with directing. I mean, I love the opening POV shot. Is great, you know.
Yeah, that was
this very perverse eye, putting the audience in the killer's view, has always been like a very unsettling concept that, you know, anyone can be a killer.
I also like how most of the visual field is you can't see, even though it is a POV shot. He's wearing a big bloody mask, so.
Yeah, he puts a mask on at one stage.
Yeah, so you know, and from there you see these like two eye holes and everything.
Yeah,
so that's pretty cool. I like that.
But you can kind of tell he's a psycho anyway. The fact that he walks around the house sideways, you know, because he's got the camera's fixed on the house. But I'm like, you have to see where you're going. So he's
a crab
sidestepping around. Yeah,
under the mask, he is a crab man.
And the fact that he literally looks at his arm while he stabs someone, stabs his sister, he looks at his arm, you know. Yeah, definitely a psycho. But I kind of like a lot of like the mild scares of creepiness in this film, you know, where Laurie walks up to the Myers house and he just comes into shot, and then there's a long shot where Laurie is walking away and Michael Myers' shoulder just comes into shot. Not as a jump scare, but just to creep you out a little. And there's another shot where Michael drives by and the three girls are there. And, you know, he stops the car sharply and you're like, oh, what's he going to do? But then he just ends up just driving off. But then they, like, just walk down the road and it just stays on that long shot for way too long, you know, to make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, as if Michael might come out into the shot again. You know, just the film... Yes, I think, he doesn't kill anyone for like 50 minutes, but that presence is there throughout. You know, he can come up anywhere, you know. I like how every time you see Michael Myers, you know, played by Nick Castle, he gets a little bit clearer each time, like how tall is he, what does the mask look like. I mean, even during the first kill, you don't get a real good, clear view of what the mask looks like because it's shot through like a misty windshield in the car. But you get, you know, the classic, you see him somewhere, and then the next time the character looks, he's gone. You know, my favourite one of that is when Annie, played by Nancy Keys, is on the phone to her boyfriend, and she's walking across the room, and there's a door behind her, and the shot is tracking her walking across, and you see Michael Myers in the door, and then when she walks across again, like, he's gone, you know, all in one shot. That was quite good, quite clever from John Carpenter there.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That was a really intimidating shot. He's behind you, and it's like, no, he's gone.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
He does a lot of, he does a lot of disappearing. You know, if he wasn't a serial killer, he'd be a great magician. Just incredible. But yeah.
And when, like, near the end, when Laurie goes to the other house, you know, we're at night, Laurie goes to the other house and she's being chased by Michael Myers across the street. And it's kind of scary because it's mainly scary because she doesn't put any lights on. You know, everything's so dark. Michael can come out of nowhere. And when she goes into the bedroom, you know, with Judith Myers' gravestone, and I always forget the body swinging out always makes me jump.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, the score as well. You know, obviously the score is really good. I do like the unset. You know, if you're talking about sound design, I'll just talk about that now. Yeah. And like the heavy breathing of Michael Myers, like every time he's near or is around, I think that's quite intimidating. Yeah, there are cool things like that. You know, I do like how everything. You know, when it's dark, it's very nicely silhouetted and kind of creepy.
Yeah.
And you're not really. You can still sort of see what's going on, but yeah. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, the John Carpenter did the music himself, you know, which is fairly rarely done these days, that the director is the composer as well.
Yeah. Where I'm going to be, like, massively critical, you know, I'm sorry, but I think it's just the budget.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Like, to me, Christ, if he had a better budget, you know, maybe I wouldn't have driven myself crazy of how big this was going to be. This was a lot smaller than I was expecting. Like, a lot of the deaths are, like, I don't know, like he strangles them. Yeah, they're tame. He strangles them, or, you know, he stabbed him. It's like, pull his fucking head off, you know? That's what I was thinking.
No blood or
Rip his spine out of his ass, you know? Do something insane. But it's like, yeah, the budget won't allow that. So I don't know. It's just kind of a shame for me. Like, it takes him so long to kill someone.
Yeah.
Because it really does have to rely on suspense because the budget isn't there. And then the deaths themselves are not really that impressive.
Yeah, I get that.
I'd say, like, the most impressive shot is him being shot out of a window. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I would say, like, they'd leave that for last. And, like, that's the most impressive shot in the whole when it comes to action,
But I mean, like when Laurie comes into the house and then, there's like two bodies. There's one body that swings out and then there's another one. She opens another door and there's Linda in there. I always forget that. I'm like, oh shit, there's two.
yeah, that was pretty cool.
And but then when Laurie is looking really scared, she's like standing right next to a door, like all in shadow, all in black. And you're like, yeah, Michael's in there. But the way, like, how he only catches her, like, trousers was a bit weird, with the knife.
Yeah.
He completely misses.
Yeah.
Maybe he needed to adjust his mask a little bit. I don't know. To aim a bit better.
I love how he missed and then she just, like, boom, stabbed him straight in the face with a... that was pretty cool. He does go down like, a sack of potatoes quite a few times,
Yeah, he's just taking a nap and just like, oh, God.
Yeah. It's like,
need to stretch my back out a bit.
Yeah. And then I'm good
Lie
to go.
on the floor.
Yeah. Do some yoga,
Yeah.
Stretch out all the kinks, then I'm good to go. So he does a lot. He does that a few times towards the end.
Yeah.
A lot of fake out deaths and stuff.
I mean, you got to admire him, he's looking after his back.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good. I mean, no wonder he doesn't die very easily. He looks after himself.
He does, yeah. He goes to the gym, does a lot of yoga, gets a lot of sleep.
I mean, it takes a lot of effort to lift guys up and stab them into the wall,
Yeah. But also, it's just little things that I'm just like, man, I just kind of, I don't want to keep harping onto it, but I do think it matters, that the fact that you can just sense the budget sometimes, and that's just a shame, But even when she has a cut, I don't know, it just could look it could have looked gnarlier than that, but
Yeah, it's certainly a film of its time.
Yeah.
But certainly of its time, it was incredibly popular.
Yeah. And, as I said, I can see that from the way it's directed. It's directed really well. The score is really is really good. It's got a lot of, I don't want to... It's got a lot of great setups for scares and stuff like that. For me, though, I'm sorry, I just keep beating over the head, but, that's the thing that really downgrades it, in my opinion, is the budget, It's like, man, if this was only made for a higher budget, I think he could have really gone all out. That was a big thing for me.
But I think certainly one piece of directing which I actually really liked and was kind of fairly scary in a lingering way was like that last montage, that little montage after Loomis shoots Michael, then he vanishes, and you get these simple shots of these empty dark rooms in the house, and then shots of the houses on the street, and it's like, he could be anywhere still. This is not over, and obviously you get a gazillion sequels, but but I just like that sequence of just these very simple shots. Like, this is why this film, certainly at the time, was very effective. The script is very simple, the directing is very simple. Everything's very simple, and just works really well for me.
Yeah. I think I would have loved this film a lot more if it could be redone and just make the deaths like as grisly as fucking possible.
Okay.
I love the setup for where he killed that guy and then pretended to be him with like the sheet on him and the glasses.
That was weird.
That was fucking cool. I like that. And she's like, "Oh, you like what you see?" And he's just, and she's got no clue. That's one of those moments of like, it's genius. Like, he's not just a big dumb brute. He's quite clever, but also he's very.
I think he just wanted to have a play.
Yeah.
Play as a ghost for a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
He was just looking for a sheet this whole time.
Yeah. But then, again, it's just one of those things where that's a great scene. That's a great setup. But then, to me, it falls off. Again, I don't want to... Because of the budget. How does he kill her? He strangles her. Oh, for God's sake, Like, do something crazy. I don't know. Take her skin off. I don't know,
Bloody hell. Like, Boaz wants blood.
Yeah.
I want blood, damn it. Have you seen, like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
What, the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leatherface.
Yeah, I've seen that.
because that is ridiculously scary. That I find it very difficult to rewatch that. There is like not an ounce of blood in that film. You know,
I would say
ridiculously scary, mainly because the sound design is horrific. It's just like, oh my god, I can't bring myself to watch that again because it's so.
Yeah, I would
horrible.
say though that there is more like violence or the idea of violence. Like he does, you know, even though they kind of cut that. I don't know, there could have been more variety in kills, I would think, you know. So even like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it did have a budget, but I mean, he kills someone with a hammer, you know. He's obviously, you know, they're skinning them alive and cooking them. Like, that's pretty fucking gnarly, you know. They cut a finger open. Like, there's a guy that's like, he looks like a corpse, you know. There's kind of weird things like that where it doesn't even seem like it had the budget to do that, you know, in this one. So, I don't know. Yeah. It's just... That's just the thing that kind of pisses me off. He strangles a lot of the people. I'm sounding really morbid, aren't I? You know, this isn't as disgusting as I wanted it to. I think it's just I overhyped it in my brain, thinking, you know, he's you know, this is like one of the big three of the slasher things. Oh, you know, get your buckets ready. But I'm like, man, this is quite tame.
You got a favourite shot then?
You know, I got a few. I think there's some really great shots in this. You know, when he's actually in the Myers house, that was great. The intro that you talked about as well, you know, when he's under the mask, that was a really good scene. Her finding the bodies, very good scene. You know, there's all these really good shots.
I mean, my favourite is when Laurie tells the kids to go to the Mackenzie's house near the end to call the police, and she just slumps to the floor in the door frame, you know, still sitting up, and you see Michael Myers laying on the floor, you know, resting his back, presumed dead. And then he sits up all of a sudden, out of focus, and turns his head towards Laurie. I was just like,
that was
when I first watched that, I was like, "Oh my god, get the fuck out of there, man!"
Yeah, that was cool.
Go. So yeah, that's my favorite. So score, Boaz, for you. What are you going to give this?
Okay,
one?
I'm going to give this. Now I'm going to be an asshole.
While I wince,
I'm going to be a horrible asshole because, as I said, there are so many good things in this film, but my problem is this: my expectations were like this. You know, and it didn't really meet them. So, I don't know. What am I going to do?
Let Isaac watch it.
yeah, let Isaac watch it. Okay, fuck it. I'm going to give it like... and again, this is mainly due to the fact that I wasn't scared, and this could have been so much gorier, you know? And I am I'm completely aware. The reasons are, you know, the time this was made, but also like the budget. I don't think he had the funds to really go all out in this sort of film, like he did with like The Thing and stuff like that. And while I should take that into consideration, I'm not going to. I should just judge this as the film, you know.
Okay.
So I'm going to piss you off, but I'm going to go like a 6.5, right?
What?
Yeah. Add a couple more severed limbs.
Really? 6.5.
Some disemboweling, and I would have given it like an 8 or whatever.
Okay, I mean, I can't obviously agree with that.
No, of course you can't. You know, that's fine. We can differ. We can differ. That's fine. You know. We don't know. This isn't the end of our friendship, right? You know. You gave Halloween a 6.5. Fuck you. This relationship is over.
Fuck you, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think John Carpenter is I'm not saying this is a masterpiece, but I do think he is a master horror director, and I think sometimes the best policy in making a great scary movie is just to direct it simply, have simplicity in your directing and the script. And I think that it works at the time so well. You know, I watched this as a kid and I was shit scared. I mean, crazy scared as a child. Obviously, watching it now, I can see more things in it. Like that last montage bit was really effective for me. You know, certainly that the POV shot at the start is still really good, and the fact that, you know, watching it now, you still get this presence of Michael Myers through the whole thing. It's so unnerving throughout the whole thing, and I quite like the fact that you don't get the first kill to nearly an hour into the movie. I like that. So I'm going to go like 8.1, I think.
I would have only given it 8.1. As I said before, I'm sorry I pissed you off. It's fine.
Yeah.
To me, it needed another maybe 25 minutes on top of it.
Yeah.
More kills and just more gore.
Screenplay then. It's interesting they work into the script. Like during a school class, they talk about fate. Like fate never changes, as if Michael Myers was always going to come back to Haddonfield. That was kind of, you're the philosophy student.
Yeah.
That was quite cool.
I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, because she even answers a question on it. What does this philosopher say about fate? And he believed it's a natural part of the universe. And then just turn around and he's gone. He's fucking gone.
So I thought that was quite clever.
Yeah. I did like, the kind of talking about Michael Myers as if he is a force of nature and just however the Doctor refers to him. I love the conversation he has in the car with the nurse, and the nurse says, shouldn't we refer to it as it? To him as it? And it's like, yeah, if you want to. Because you can tell, he doesn't believe there's any... But this kind of goes on to, one of my favourite lines is about Michael Myers, where the sheriff, sees a dog. They see a dog that's been eaten. It doesn't show you the dog. Yeah. So, again, this goes on to my problem with the direction. I'd like to have seen the dog, But,
he got hungry.
Yeah, I sound like a fucking serial killer, don't I? I sound really messed up, But anyway, so, but I like how, something's eating this dog. And how the doctor's like, yeah, he was hungry. And it's like, are you serious, doctor? This could have been a skunk or something. It's like, no man could do this. And I love the response of, he's no man,
Yeah, this is no man.
This is no man. I like that. I thought that is just a great exchange of, this dude is he's a hurricane, you can't,
Yeah, I love Dr. Loomis's character played by Donald Pleasance. He's great. Yeah, the way he just delivers that, this is no man, is great. And I love the bit later on, Dr. Loomis is talking to the sheriff about the history he has with Michael Myers, and he was like, I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eye. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized what was living behind those eyes was pure and simply evil.
Yeah, no, that's a great,
That was so cool. And later he says, death has come to your little town, sheriff. And my favourite line is right at the end, Laurie asks Dr. Loomis after he shoots him off the balcony, and he says, she says, was that the boogeyman? And Loomis says, as a matter of fact, it was. So, score then, Boaz, what are you going for?
I would go higher on the script. I do think the script... Okay. So, as I'm saying, I don't want you to hate me, but this is just my opinion.
No, it's fine.
I was like, for me, it needed more gore. That's my thing. More gore. But the script is good, just when it came to a kill, if he had pulled someone's spine out rather than choked them, I'd have been like, what? This is amazing.
1978, dude.
Dude, there were some fucked up horror films in the 1970s. Don't,
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give this a 7.8 or something like that. Yeah, it's nice and simple. You have a heroine who is, I don't know, she's quite nice, she's smart, I do like the doctor, I like the setup. It's all great,
Again, I love the way the script is so simple, but yet so effective. And as you said, Laurie is smart. She adapts the coat hanger as a weapon to fend him off. Tells the kids to leave. That's what a lot of sequels and horror films of this in slasher films. The characters are dumb as shit. Yeah. Whereas they're not dumb in this film, which I like.
Yeah.
Which is rare these days. Yeah. So, I'll go and also Donald Pleasance's lines are brilliant as well. So I'll go an 8, I think.
Yeah, I think definitely the Doctor, he has the most Shakespearean stuff to say all the time. He's pretty good. I think to me, when I was even talking about the film, what I would add to it, I've already talked about the gore, but I would have made it a little longer. I would have had more chasing with Michael Myers. Do you know what I mean? It felt like it. I don't know. It's a bit too short for my taste.
All right.
I've liked a lot more cat and mouse towards the end. For my palate. So I think I would put this. I think the script's good, but I would have, having built him up that long, maybe just an extra 15 minutes.
I'm fairly happy with the runtime.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have preferred a little longer, to be honest with you. But that's just me. But yeah, script's pretty solid.
Acting then. I like Bob's death when Michael Myers comes out of the closet and stab. I mean, it's not terribly scary when he comes out of the closet. You can kind of see it coming. That's the thing with this film, like when you've watched it quite a few times, or even as you said, from your perspective, watching it now, you can see a lot of the scares coming, the way they're structured. But I like the when Michael kills Bob, where he stabs him up against the wall. You know, it's a little ridiculous, but kind of fun. You know, the way the light is reflecting on the knife, that was cool. And then he does like the creepy head tilt thing, which I always love to mention on this podcast. You know, couldn't suit a better character. But I think one of my favorite acting moments is from Donald Pleasance. The moment when he shoots Michael Myers off of the balcony and then he sees that he's gone, he's vanished. He hardly does anything with his face, but you can see in his eyes that he's absolutely terrified, the fact that he's gone. You know, it's very subtle. I love that bit. And Jamie Lee Curtis, again, I mean, there's nothing particularly special, I don't think, with her performance. She's probably a lot better, actually, in the 2018 one. I've seen that one as well, and she's fantastic. You know, as this grandmother type figure of someone that's certainly traumatized by the events in this film. But I mean, she certainly does a scared teenage girl like really well, I would say, compared to a lot of sequels and films of the like. I'm not sure many actresses kind of match Jamie Lee Curtis in that area for me. But my favourite performance is Donald Pleasance.
Yeah,
I would say.
I agree with that. Yeah, he can definitely sell, like, you know, the fear of this creature and what have you.
And did you know, like, the mask is actually a mould from William
Star
Shatner?
Trek. Yeah. William Shatner. Yeah.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
Just can't watch Star Trek the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even these kind of facts, it kind of, you know, maybe I should have sort of understood what I was going to see.
Any other acting moments you liked, or?
You know, the sheriff was all right. I don't know. There aren't that many characters in this film.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to say it again. The budget, damn it. If it had a bigger budget, more cast. Have a bigger cast. You know?
And breathe, calm.
Yeah, I'm
calm.
sorry. Yeah. I think, you know, if I was introduced this as more like, this was one of John Carpenter's first films, maybe I would have been more forgiving on it. But, you know, it's just like, I don't know.
I think it is.
I think it is, yeah. But I didn't know that at the time, so I don't know. Maybe I was just expecting way too much. But, you know, it's all right.
This is his third feature film.
Right.
His first one was Dark Star, then Assault on Precinct 13, and then Halloween. Yeah, but I mean, John Carpenter's work in general, it would be great to do a John Carpenter episode at one stage. There's a great one called The Prince of Darkness, where these, like, bunch of students spend a night in a church, and there's, like, this, you know, this tube of phantom green liquid in the basement, and it gets out, and it's really, really awesome.
That sounds pretty cool.
But yeah, score then, Boaz, for acting for Halloween.
Yeah, I like the Doctor. Michael Myers is creepy. Jamie Lee Curtis is all right. I think a lot of the, you know, her friends and stuff, you know, they were okay. They're fine. You know, they're adequate victims. You know, just doing victim things before they die.
Yeah.
My personal opinion, this could have done with more actors. You know, this could have done with a larger cast. That's my only gripe with it. But, you know, it's fine with I think the two standouts that just exist there. You know, they're really good. I don't know, 7.
Again, the only real standout is Donald Pleasance, I would say. Yes, Jamie Lee Curtis, as we've said, is great. So I'll go with 7.4, I think. Let's add up the scores then for John Carpenter's 1978 classic, Halloween.
I'm not changing my score. Fuck you. I feel I'm going to get death threats from this one.
Yeah. Right, Halloween gets 44.8, which is still the winner in this podcast. Yeah. And I get the point. Okay. New Nightmare gets 40.3.
Okay.
A worthy winner.
If it had a bigger budget.
Classic always wins. Classic always wins, damn it. Next week, we're actually going to take a break. There will be no podcast next week because I am on holiday. and not constantly doing podcasts and constantly editing. But the week after, there's, I don't know, this kind of strange independent film from the studio called Marvel. Is that right? Marvel Studios.
Called something like that.
Black Widow. Rings a bell, but I'm not quite sure. So yeah. Next week we'll be doing Scarlett Johansson films.
Is that new? Scarlett who?
Scarlett Johansson, you know.
So did she just start out or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Hope she does well.
Yeah, so the next episode will be in 2 weeks. All right. Okay. Thanks, Boaz. You've been rather good, as always.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. There's someone behind you, man.
No, there isn't. Stop it.
Ah.
That's it for this week's pod. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to find out more about the podcast or suggest future topics for us to discuss related to upcoming releases, let us know on Instagram at Film vs. Film Podcast and on Twitter at FVF_podcast. Remember, please subscribe. Pod signing off.